Typically, our Facebook group is for women who are using third-party reproduction. But I do allow in this space for women who are trying naturally or trying different ways, because I think that all those stories need to be shared. So without further ado, I have Kati here, who is gracious enough to talk about her journey in the midst of the storm, which is very hard to do. Just speaking from personal experience, I'm also going through mine. So we can get started. Wherever you want to start, just take it away.
Oh, that means I gotta talk?
Yes, ma'am, you have to talk.
Oh my goodness, where do I start? Shoot, we've been trying since 2018. I've always said that I wanted a really big family. Anywho, so when I got with my wife, I was like, "How many kids you plan on having?" Because I want 10, and she's like, "What? 10? That's a lot." But we decided that we were going to try. She does have a biological daughter from a previous relationship. So that was kind of like easy. It's like, oh, I'm just going to raise this baby as my own, and we're going to do our thing. So we started our journey in 2018. I want to say we got together 2016, married 2017. Wanted to go ahead and start trying in 2018. We found a couple of donors that worked as like just people that we wanted to match with is what we started as. And this was just known donors. So people like on the internet who were just, hey, I want to help you grow your family. Let's meet up at a hotel. We'll meet at a parking lot. We'll, come to my home, get the specimen, do your thing wherever you want, kind of thing. It was wild. It was wild. We've tried in our home, we've tried in the hotel, we've done it like in the parking lot of like the community. And each time, it didn't work. It just didn't work. So I had remembered me going to an OB a couple of years ago. My OB was like, oh, well, your cervix is pretty low. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? I have no idea. What does that mean? She's like, well, it's a possibility that if you ever get pregnant, you won't carry long term, or your pregnancy won't even, make it to where it needs to go. Okay. So I thought that was it. That was like, okay, I didn't know that there was more research out there. I didn't know there was more people. So I started joining Facebook groups to see if there was other people just like me. I was premenopausal at 24 years old. My AMH levels were always like 0.2, 0.3, nothing over 96. I got it to like 0.96 one time, but it's never been over that. So my doctor tried to explain like the reason why. And of course, one of the things that she asked me was there any childhood trauma? Any trauma to the abdomen in particular, anything like that. So it was a journey as far as, okay, we're trying natural. What's going on? Let's see how we can figure this out. So I fired that OB and went somewhere else because that was like, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. Because at this point, you're just being negative. You're not telling me anything that can help me get to where I want to get to. So we went ahead and found a new OB. That OB was like, all right, well, what are we going to do? What are we going to try? I said, well, we can continue natural. And we had a really close friend that he was willing to donate to us. And he did. I think we got like maybe 4 donations from him. Nothing. I was test strips and ovulation strips and tracking my temperature and doing all this. And it was like, well, stop doing all of that tracking stuff. Just track the ovulation part of it to make sure that your levels, you're peaking. That's only track that. Don't do the temperature, because there's less stress on you. So I did that. Still nothing. They put me on Femera. Nothing. They put me on Clomid. Nothing. I was like, all right, well, what's the next step? They were like, well, let's try IUI. We tried IUI. The first time I tried IUI, it was interesting because the doctor said to me, he says, well, I'm trying to insert the catheter and it's just not going anywhere. Okay, what does that even mean? Like, what should I do? He said, I'm going to try one more time to poke you. And then I'm going to have to go a little bit more, critical. And I was like, okay, do what you got to do. The point is, sperm is sitting there. We need to get to going. And it did not work. So he said, okay, a catheter is about this little. What's going on? We've seen your test. We've seen that you're peaking. We're trying to get this done. So he said, you know what? Let's go ahead and we are going to dilate the cervix for you so that we can insert the catheter to do the IUI. I did not know that dilating the catheter meant that he was going to snip it open in order to get the catheter in. Yeah, that was interesting. He said, well, this is the tool that we use to circumcise children, or when it's an adult with whatever situation, this is the tool that we use. I was like, okay, well, do what you got to do. I guess do what you got to do. You're the professional. So he numbed the cervix and he just snipped it, and I felt it. There was no, hey, brace yourself. There was no, you're not going to. He's like, yeah, I numbed it. Sure you did. I felt it all. So the catheter went in. He's like, oh, you might have slight bleeding. Make sure that you are just doing the things. Don't stress too much, whatever. I thought it worked. I'm like, I'm sure after all this, it's going to work. Nope. Tried again, nothing. So then we were like, okay, at this point, we need to figure out something else, maybe a medicated IUI, maybe something different. And this is all in a span between 2018 and 2021. So between 2018 and 2021, we done already did 18 cycles. Naturally, and then 3 IUIs. Because I kept having hope, oh yes, I'm peaking. Oh, we've tried it different. We've had the meds. We've had all this stuff. Nothing. So we went ahead and was like, all right, well, maybe we need to do IVF because at this point there's no other option. So we started talking about what it would look like. Did we want to know the donor? Are we using her eggs or mine? Of course, quality over quantity is what's important. So it's just a matter of trying to get everything in. So we found CNY Fertility. That's where we went. And I started just joining their groups, talking to more people. And pretty much, she said, well, you have cervical stenosis, where it may seem like your cervix is low. Nope, it's just closed. It's just closed. So every time you pretty much try to do some type of insemination, we're going to have to do a hysteroscopy. But remember, it doesn't open. So I have to surgically go to the emergency room. They have to put me to sleep, do a hysteroscopy, put in dilators in order for me to be able to just get the catheter in for anything to be done. So that first time we tried, she's like, we're going to do your levels. We're going to try this. We're going to try that. And then let's go ahead and insert the catheter. We're going to give you a saline sonogram. I'm like, great. Gives me the saline sonogram. She's like, oh, it looks like I think your right tube is diminished. I said, oh my gosh. Okay. okay, all right. And then she's like, okay, well, let's go ahead and try to do the dye sonogram instead, the hysteroscopy, to see what's going on. I said, are you sure? She's like, yes, because right now, fallopian tubes are supposed to go like this, one is like this, and one is like that. And I'm like, okay.
I think people will be surprised that your stuff does not look like the pictures. Yeah.
Pretty pictures they have on Google is
it is not what it looks like inside there.
The reality, okay? So we went ahead and we scheduled this saline sonogram. It was, I want to say $3,600, but I have insurance, so it pretty much was the deductible. And it was like, do we go through this? What do we? It was just like so many different emotions. Like, okay, at this point, we're year 7? All these cycles, like, I just want to get pregnant. Like, that's it. I just want to experience pregnancy at least one time. I'm like a one and done. It don't have to be, I might change my mind afterwards. Who knows? But right this second, I just want it to work. So we did the hysteroscopy and my doctor comes back, and shout out to Dr. Rayleigh Alice because she is like the most amazing woman ever. She says to me, she says, everything went well. We put dilators in your cervix. You should be good for a transfer. And both of your tubes are unblocked. And I'm like, okay. But y'all just told me that my tubes were diminished a couple weeks ago. Okay. It is what it is. So now let's get on with the the meds. Let's get on with the meds. I start at this point. My wife's like, "Yeah, you just popping pills, girl. Go ahead, do your thing." So one after the other, prenatals, the fertility hormone, the stimulating hormone, the whatever, all kinds of hormones. But I had no side effects, which I was so grateful for. Like, there was absolutely no side effects. Before we got on the fertility meds and before that hysteroscopy, I think we tried to do a saline sonogram at least 6 times before she was just like, no, I can't continue to do this to you. Like, it's painful. I'm just laying on a bed. I don't even feel it. It doesn't feel like a bed. It just, your back is just on this cold mat. And most of the times I had to go by myself. So it's like, come on.
If you see my last video, I just had one. I have said I am done.
Yeah.
I am done with water. You can't pay me. You can't pay me to enough.
At this point, just blindly go in there.
Right.
So yeah, she's like, I'm not gonna put you through this any longer. Let's just go ahead and let's just book an OR. So we did, and that's when she did everything. Everything was perfect. We started the meds. We went for our first egg retrieval. I'm sorry, let me back up. When we were supposed to do our first egg retrieval, and they were doing the sonograms and checking my baseline and all of that, I was told that I had, I cannot think of the name, but basically fluid in my fallopian tube. Okay. So what now? Well, now you have to take this medication. And until the fluid goes away, because we don't know if it's toxic to the embryo or not, you will have to, stop trying. We can't move forward. And I'm like, all right, setback number, how many now?
What did we say? Lord, if you didn't want me to have kids, just say that.
Say that. Just say it. Just know, your journey is just fostering. Your journey is just foster care. Tell me that. Because, I wanted kids so bad. So and that's another thing, like part of foster care, the goal is reunification. The goal is to make sure that you love on these babies till they go home. regardless of their situation. We've come up to the opportunity of adopting several times. However, we've had some amazing caseworkers that did not agree with our family dynamic, did not like the fact that either we were two lesbians raising children, or we were two black women raising white kids, or we were two. It was always something. I had one caseworker tell my wife to her face, "You guys will be lucky if you ever need to adopt these kids." And we're like, "Whoa, okay." Oh, and they had an agenda, honey. They made sure that we did not adopt those kids. They made it very sure. I mean, falsifying documents, allegations of abuse to our own kids. Like it was ugly. So imagine going through that and going through the nope, it's not happening right now. Nope, you can't get pregnant. No, this is going on. No, you. I mean, it was always something. And it got to the point where I just fell into a state of, what's the point? Why continue? Why even try to do any of this when it's just gonna result in it ain't happening. No, let's try again next cycle. Or in the amount of test strips that you buy and the amount of pregnancy tests that you buy, it does not amount to the emotional damage that it does to you.
So walk me through this. What were moments of your when you were at that point? What did you do as far as maybe like a reset, or did you just stop altogether? Did you take breaks, or what has been your motivation to just keep going? Because I think that when you're on this journey and you're getting so many roadblocks, especially the many roadblocks that you're getting, what makes you say to yourself, "You still gotta keep going"? Like,
Right.
what makes you? Yeah.
I think it's just the I don't know, just I want, this is what I want for me. Not only that, also, like I said, our daughter, she is 11 now, and her, from the time she was 4, we started fostering when she was 4 years old. She's always said, "I want a sister that doesn't get to leave." So that took me. I was like, okay, let's go. Like that's my motivation. She has god sisters, she has god brothers, she has cousins, she has all these people, but she really wants a sibling that doesn't leave. Like there's a possibility that her god sisters may not be here forever with us, but and she knows that. So it's like, I just want a sister that doesn't. And anytime we have a placement that goes to another home, she is in full blood tears. She doesn't want them to go. So she gets emotionally attached. And that also takes a toll on her emotionally. So it's not just me going through it, it's not just my wife, it's also her. She has no idea, though, that we're trying. I kind of wanted it to be a surprise for her because of how she feels, and I don't want her to have hopes every time like we have, and then it doesn't happen. So we do take breaks, especially because once your body starts weaning off of meth, things happen to you that you didn't even know could happen. Um, or we just sit down and say, okay, let's do a game plan. We're gonna take this fertility tea for this long. We're gonna do this type of prenatal. We're gonna change to this kind of oil, or we're gonna try not to stress. We're gonna try. So it's like it's a matter of, let me just clear my head about the fact that this didn't work this time, and move on to the next. And then it's always like a month or two in between before we try again. Um, and I'm not gonna lie to you, most days I'm like, nope, I don't want to, and push it off to another month. Nope, I don't want to.
I
And
think that's definitely a normal feeling. I think that at some point you do still, like, you have to understand, like, your mental health during this is so much more important than the goal at hand. And like, you may not make it if you don't take a break. You may not make it. I can't even stress to people, like, take the break, you know, recenter yourself, go do something else. Like, don't let this consume you, because it truly can consume you. And then you end up feeling like you're not you anymore.
Right. Yep. It's so much. Like, I don't even know the last time we actually sat down and talked about how we felt about it.
Right.
It's just like it's just in the back of our heads, and my wife deals with it how she deals with it, and I deal with it how I deal with it, and then we just go move on to the next thing. So when we did our first round of IVF, which was, we started, I want to say August of last year. And then that's when they found out that I had the fluid in one of the tubes, gave me the medication and I guess antibiotics to go ahead and drain it. So we had to wait the following cycle when the baseline came to make sure that that there was nothing there. So finally, there was nothing in the tubes. Everything was good. They was like, all right, we can move forward. Went in, tried to do a baseline, tried to go ahead and do another saline sonogram. Cervix is closed. I'm like, dude, okay. Like, come on. We just needed you to open. So at this point, Dr. Reddy went ahead and she was just like, I'm just going to put these dilators in and I'm just going to keep them. Like, we're taking them out. This is just how that's going to go. So we did that. Took the medication. I mean, I'm okay with needles. I don't feel them. The most traumatic part of it was seeing my wife attempt to inject, because I wanted her to be a part of it too. Like, yes, I am, Tammy, and I'm doing this, but I want you to be a part of making this baby, because technically, you know, you are also its mom. Yeah, the most interesting part was her trying to inject all these hormones, and she's like, I don't want to hurt you, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, and I'm like, I'm fine, let's just get it over with. So we did. We got through the process of getting to the egg retrieval. We've had, and because there's no CNY fertility out here that does IVF, we have to fly out to Albany, New York, to get it done. So just keep in mind, apart from paying for medication, paying for the test strips and the ovulation strips and all these other strips that you got to do, vitamins, things like that, you also have the possibility of paying for travel, paying for your stay somewhere else. So we flew out to CNY Albany, and did the egg retrieval. And it was good. They told us right there in the room, pretty much how many eggs were retrieved, and were fertilized. We retrieved 7 and 6 fertilized. And I'm like, hey, that's better than none. Because with my history of not being able to naturally do this, this is definitely more than I expected. Like, I thought it was only going to be like 2. Because I did not have a lot of follicles. I had like maybe 3 on one side and 5 on the other. And they were growing, so that was a good thing, but you could have nice sized follicles and not have any eggs in there at all. And that was another thing that I learned throughout the journey, how interesting the body works. So we went ahead and retrieved 7, 6 fertilized, a couple, I think like 1 got to day 7, 1 was day 6. We had a couple day 4s and day 3s. So we, in the midst of the egg retrieval, when it was time to go do the baseline for the transfer, because we didn't do a fresh, we wanted to do frozen. I I get fluid in my fallopian tube again.
At this point, just take it out. Just take it out. Listen, just
Do
take
I
it
really
out.
need these? Do I really need these things? And that's when my wife and I kind of started talking about reciprocal IVF, because suppose this don't work. Suppose we just get fluid in every month. Suppose, I want to experience pregnancy. I do. I would love a biological child of my own. However, that may not be my journey.
Right.
So and I've come to terms with that. Like, if this was me in 2016, I will be snotty nose, tears all over the place. Like, it would have been that. But I've come to terms with it. Like, there's a time for everything. There's definitely a time for everything, and it may not just be my time yet. Maybe there's something else that I'm supposed to be doing before I sit down, because I don't know how to sit down, and that's the issue too. I wear lots of hats, lots of things. And if I start naming, you're gonna be like, "Girl, stop it."
Well, let everyone know how old you are.
I am 34.
So she's 34, and at her age, even if her AMH is low. So this is the thing. Sometimes your AMH can be low, but your age also helps that. So even if you're in your 20s and your AMH is low, or you're in your late 20s, early 30s, your AMH versus someone my age is going to be still different. So there's still there's still a chance that you still can conceive naturally, or do IVF and use your own eggs. Now when you start getting like 35, 36 and up in there, then and you're not getting anything, because even the fact that you had low AMH, the fact that you got 7 eggs is still pretty good. Do you remember the grades or anything like that?
I think I'm gonna switch areas because my butt is starting to hurt. I'm sorry. I had like lots of BBs, and AAs.
Okay.
I had like one BA. I think day 4 was a BA. But with all that being said, like, whew, okay, this is so much better. With that being said, I did not understand grades, and I didn't understand the day, and I didn't understand what it meant. Like, okay, day 4, okay, what does that mean? It's like, oh, you take meds up until, and then you transfer on day 4 because of the age of that embryo. And I'm like, yeah, sure.
Right. If you say so, it's okay, girl.
You tell me what to do. You're the professional. I'm just
Right.
here. So that was, but the grades were not like super, super great, but they weren't bad either,
BBs are good. BBs, AAs are good. Someone said in the chat, thank God you didn't find out about this like in your 40s, because you would have definitely not had at least a chance. But I like the fact that you are now to a situation where you're like, I'm not married to this plan. Because that can be very challenging, especially when you've been trying for so long, that you may be in a situation where this does not work out the way you think it is, and you're dealing with that and saying, that's what I say, I just want the baby.
Right.
I just want the baby. And so that can be difficult in itself. But we've had donor egg moms here, we've had donor embryo moms, and they all say, look, this is the baby I was meant to have, when it's all said and done. So whatever your path is, that baby is the baby that you were supposed to have.
Yep. I've been like journaling. I've had music. Music is definitely a good outlet. We have quiet time. In my house, we incorporate quiet time. not just for us, but for the children. We're gonna have some quiet time. And it's okay to have quiet time. You need your body and your mind to recharge for the next day. And you see my little, well, she just survived. My little 5-year-old. I call her Tiny Mighty because she's so tiny. Um, but she's 5, and she's like, we have a mat right outside the door. It says, check your energy before coming in. So when they get off the bus every day, she just stands by the door, and everybody's like, come on, you need to get in the house. She's like, I'm checking my energy.
Right.
Like, let me be. And it's so crazy what you learn from this whole process. Um, we went ahead and started progesterone. We did oh, we did the PO, and then we did, what else did they put us on? We did the in oil, we did the inserts, and then we did estradiol. That right there. Estradiol was not my favorite.
It's 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 not. I listen. I these pills look at me and I look at them.
It's just like, why? It's just isn't a thing. Um, and I'm just like, dude, okay, why the double progesterone? Like, what's the point? And they're like, oh, because of your cervix. Yeah, you already told me I got a stubborn piece of machinery. Like, what can we possibly do to help it, get better?
And it could be because of the amount of estrogen. That could be why you're having the fluids. So sometimes some people can't do. Thank you, Miss Red. Some people can't do a medicated cycle, so they need to go along with their natural cycle in order to do a transfer. You need a doctor that is going to be willing enough to do that, because medication is just easier. It's less appointments, it's less, different things that could go wrong versus your natural body. Especially if you're having problems ovulating, or even just getting your body just to do anything, you could be going to the doctor 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, versus a medicated cycle where you go one day, you go like 8 days later, then you go another like 5 or 6 days later. You may have to go in there 1 or 2 if your lining isn't going with the way it should. But it's just, and it's just easier for them to do it.
I'm looking at the comments and said something about constipation. I did not have constipation. What I had was every day at 6 o'clock, anywhere between 6 and 7 p.m., I was on that toilet. And it was not 5, not 4, between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. I was on that. I will be at the store or shopping or doing something, and it's like, oh, what time is it? Like, that's, it was so bad. I was like, what is going on? Your body has so many changes. But we did our retrieval in December, which I was like, okay, Christmas gift. And the Christmas gift was pretty much how many embryos we had. My wife cried when I called and told her, because I was at work when I found out how many. She cried. And it was like, whoa, this is really happening. We have some babies. Like, and they're there. They're there. We just gotta get them out here.
Exactly.
We just gotta get them out here. Um, so we pretty much um, we waited a month, and then the liquid happened again. So they put us on a different protocol. We tried that, it worked. Then I don't know what happened. That was December. We didn't transfer till March. Now, March comes along, and the madness that happens where we were living, it was insane. Like, the SWAT team was downstairs, and we lived in condos. So our first floor we lived on the third floor, which is crazy. Imagine taking 8 kids up 3 flights of stairs, and yeah. Um, there was a situation where apparently the people downstairs from us were something, I guess, drug dealers. I don't know, but the SWAT team was out there, the FBI was out there, police. It was a mess. Um, and this happened the day of my transfer. That like the day before I was the day that I was getting on a flight to go out. My transfer was the next day. So lo and behold, I had to go by myself because my wife had to stay home with the children to make sure, everybody was safe. In the midst of this happening, um, I am like, we have to move. Like, so my brain is all over the place. Like, my number one goal is to keep my family safe. We have to move. Um, so as I am like laying in the bed at the hotel, I'm over here applying to places. I'm on the phone with my wife. So that already the stress level is up there. The stress level is just up there. I'm like, all right, I need to relax. So I completely shut everything off. I turn off all the lights, and I'm just laying there in like complete silence. And I don't know, some type of calm just came over me, and I was like, if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, it's okay. That's what I went with. I said my life is a circus. It's a full blown circus, and I'm okay with that. So with that, there's possibilities of not getting what you want. Um, so I just went in. I did acupuncture. I did a prenatal massage. I did acupuncture before and after the retrieval. Now, when I did go in, the way that my schedule was set up, the embryo thaw-in process started at 5 a.m. After the after the acupuncture and then the massage, my retrieval wasn't until like about 11:30ish is when they finally transferred. And I was like, it's a lot of hours. Like, I don't know what happens in the back and in the lab. Like, I don't know if they keep it at a certain temperature for you till it's like, I have no idea. In my brain, I'm just thinking, my damn baby done sat there for 5, 6 hours waiting to be incubated. Like, what's up? Like, what's going on? Um, so we did that. They showed us where it implanted. I was like, great. I had my wife on FaceTime the whole time. He's like, I'm not even going to need to numb anything. We just going done. I said, okay, 3 minutes. I waited 6 hours for a 3-minute procedure. And with that, I went back to my hotel room and I just laid down for the rest of the day. I did all the superstitious stuff, the fries and the, kick your feet up and relax and keep your feet warm and drink soup and all of it. And of course, I had to continue meds after that. I didn't go home till the following day, though. So I stayed over one night just to avoid the stress of being there. When we did the egg retrieval, I think we flew home same day. And my wife just wheeled me around the airport. When I did the transfer, I stayed a day. I made sure that I stayed a day. And that's how that happened. And then, of course, the 2-week wait. The 2-week wait was interesting. In the midst of all of that, we were signing the lease to move somewhere else. My job was stressing me out. I was like, yeah, no, but I felt pregnant. Between the hormones and the progesterone and all the things that you have to take during that time, I felt like I had all the symptoms. I was nauseous, had migraines, I was bloated. It felt like, what's going on? Like, this feels different. This is not the same. But of course, those meds trick you into believing that, yeah, this worked. This definitely worked. So my levels looked great. I went for my actual, because we were like, we're not going to test at home. We're not going to test at home. And it's hard. It's so hard.
I'm a tester, so I'm not gonna pretend like I'm not.
When we were trying naturally, we did. We tested 9 DPO. I was in there. 6 DPO. I was in there. I was like, yep, positive. Nope, not one. This time we were just like, okay, it is what it is. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we're not testing. We're just gonna wait till the blood work. It was negative 0.2. Not even an inch of a possibility. We were like, all right, well, and I think what prepared me was more, I was very much disappointed, absolutely. What I think, but I was prepared. And I think it's because it's been years. It's been years since we've been doing this, one. And then two, just seeing other people's stories online, like some of their stories where we've been, trying for 6, 7, 8 years and our first IVF didn't work, or we've gone through 6 rounds of IVF, nothing. We've done reciprocal, nothing. Like it's just, I think it's more of I'm just getting older. And then, like I told you, I said, every year I was like, when I turn this age, I'm stopping. I'm not doing this no more. Yeah, I'm 34. I was 28 when I started this. So it is definitely a challenging moment. My wife and I have had disagreements over this. Like, I don't want to keep going. Like, I'm done. And then I'm like, well, let's hear to her too, because she's also invested in this, Now we did that in March, and recently my hair just started falling out. Just out of the blue. I'm combing it. Like one day I was just in the bathroom just brushing. Like my hair is really, really thick. It's thin now. Like it's awful. And that took a toll on me. That right there. Nothing else has took me anywhere. The progesterone shots and the knots in the butt and the bruises on my tummy. None of that. None of that has, done it for me. Till I brushed my hair one day and it was just like a chunk of hair. It was just, and I was like, what the heck is happening? Or I will get in the shower. Like I broke down as I was brushing my hair, and then I got in the shower and started washing my hair, and just by the brushes, just I was like, oh, okay. Nobody told me this. I have not seen anybody say, hey, by the way, there may, be some hair loss eventually. So yeah, it just meant that my body was weaning off of the medication.
Yeah. So what is next on your journey to oh yes, and then someone said weight gain. I gained so much weight being on the meds, the PIO, the estrogen, prednisone. I gained so much weight and I was just like, I can't. I physically can't.
Well, for me, I feel like I have PCOS, even though I have not been diagnosed.
Right.
I have the hair, like I don't know if you can see the dark spots right here. I have the chin hairs. Many years ago, and I haven't noticed it recently because I've changed some of the things that I eat. But when we first started, I had like a slight hump right where my neck and my back started. I had like a slight hump that is like insulin retention. I was all right. Just all of it. Just but I was never diagnosed. Um when I found out that the IVF did not work, I was told that it's immune. And I was like, What the heck does that mean? Because just, every month y'all just keep telling me something new. First is the cervical stenosis, then it's the fluid in my tubes, then keep it coming now. They was like, well, we think it's more immune than the embryo just not sticking. We think that there's some, immunity stuff with it. Of course, your vitamin D levels are low. I said the heavy black person. Um, you know, your iron is low. Okay. And they're like, well, are you taking supplements? I said, yes. My prenatals have iron in it. I do the iron and DHA. I do the vitamin B12 with all the extra beautiful things. I do vitamin D2 and D3. Like, nothing is taking. And
Right.
I do it religiously all year round, and I'm not able to retain these vitamins.
Right.
So I was then referred to a hematologist to start doing iron infusions. And I did that from June up until August. And I just went for my updated hemoglobin, and they were like, it's great. You don't have anemia. Okay. Okay. So I reach out to my fertility clinic. I'm like, hey, we're ready to transfer. They're like, well, we need the labs from your oncologist to let us know if this is something that you can continue to do. And I'm like, so if my lab says, hey, your iron is low, are you telling me that I will not be able to continue? Are you going to change the protocol? Are you going to give me stronger meds? Like, tell me more. I feel like in some things I should not have to keep asking.
Right.
Give me all the info so that I can make the decision on what I want to do. It was a lot of that. I started feeling frustrated. I started feeling like I'm just going to give up on this because it felt like when I initially went to an OB and she told me that I would never be able to have kids just because of a low cervix. Like, that's what it felt. It felt like you guys just keep adding stuff on for this not to happen. What give me the options? Tell me exactly what I need to do. So the next step is just waiting for them to read my labs that I did last week. And based on that, I'm guessing it's not happening this month because my cycles, my period came and it's gone, and usually that's when they do the baseline.
Right.
So I guess October. I check my portal every day to see if someone has messaged me. One thing they did change about this protocol was instead of just doing the Femera for the egg retrieval, I will also be doing it for the treatment. And they prescribed me Prograf, which pretty much is the little pill, the little magic pill is what they say, that helps the organ stick to another organ. So we'll see. I have no idea where it's going to land. I have no idea how it's going to go. I don't know if when I go for my baseline, they're going to be like, oh, we see something else. Because it's been, we're in September, and I haven't done anything fertility related since March.
Oh, wow. I want to talk about, because we've talked about just in the donor world, how much it costs. But IVF in general still can be very expensive. So how are you guys affording your IVF at this moment?
Let's take it back a couple years first so that we can
The reality of it.
Yeah. Let's compare before I get to the good part. We went through, I believe, Shady Grove was our first option. Right off the bat, $46,000. We're like, what?
Welcome to Shady Grove.
just the initial consultation was $250, and I'm like, oh, okay, we could probably swing that. And then it was like choking moment. Like, you said what? For who? But they do everything right there.
Yeah.
However, it does not provide you with the meds and the sperm. So that's just $46,000 for them to do a retrieval and a transfer. That was it. And I'm like, okay. Discouraged.
This could cost you anywhere between 5 and 15,000. In addition to that,
for the meds and everything else in between. So imagine trying to get a donation of sperm, which could have been. I mean, I think I subscribed to all the cryobanks. I all of them. Okay. I started searching the internet for people's codes so I can get a trial, 90-day trial, and for free. And it was just, so that was discouragement number one. Then we tried another place. I can't think of it. Started with an A. They were like, okay, $20,000. We're like, okay, all right, yep, cool. We were like, okay, maybe we can swing that. Maybe we can save a couple of checks. I don't know. I was working 2 jobs. My wife was working 2 jobs. We was doing side hustle. I was making stuff with the Krika. We was out there trying to hustle to make this money. Getting on with Progressive, we probably dished out, I want to say collectively over the years, maybe 20-something thousand.
Yeah.
Just with monitoring, meds, gas, because nothing in Atlanta, Georgia is close by. Even if it's close by, it's not close by. We just try our best to think the positive. We're like, okay, we're going to figure this out. However, my wife started working after the pandemic, things happened, and how the world shut down, and we had all this. My wife had the opportunity to continue with her job because it was already virtual. She was doing it from home. And then she signed on with Progressive Insurance, and their benefits are top tier to me. I mean, that's just me. We were like, okay, well, what's the fertility benefits like? Because they talk to you prior to you accepting the offer. They tell you everything.
Right.
Which I like, because I don't want to go in blindsided. I don't want to commit to your company and you not gonna give me the things that I need. Another couple on TikTok, and her wife went to work at Starbucks part-time.
Yeah.
Just to get fertility meds, and they were able first transfer, and they got pregnant. I was like, perfect, great, we'll try that. I applied for Starbucks, never went. I did Amazon, and we were like, great, Amazon, but then it was taking a toll on my body. It was just a lot. So my wife was like, all right, well, sign on to Progressive, and we both could just, either you decline the insurance and go on mine, or we both get however we want to do it. So I had my own, and she had her own, and I was still on hers as well. So we had double. But then Amazon started, I'm sorry, it was customer service for me. She works on the commercial side. It was customer service for me, and that started taking a toll on my mental health. Like, I hated getting up to go to work. I just didn't want to. I wanted to sleep, and that's not like me, because people always tell me, "Do you ever sit down?" Like, that's my thing. I'm always doing something. So when that happened, it was like, yeah, I gotta go. I can't stay here no more. So when the cycle renewed, they told us that they have fertility benefits through Win Fertility. And Win Fertility, they are amazing. They have a consultant call you to check on you. They make sure that, all the questions that we had, they answered. There was no blind side to it. It was more of, we're going to give you all the details, and we're going to spend however long you want us on this phone. And we're going to tell you everything. They cover, once we meet a deductible, they cover 6 IUI cycles and Am I saying that right? I think it's either 6 IUI cycles and 3 IVF or the opposite. Can't remember. But they cover it 100%. And yes, when fertility.
And with fertility, if you don't know, it works the same thing like progeny a little bit. You get like a patient care advocate. You kind of like let them know what exactly you're doing. They supply the authorizations. They go through everything. They check with your insurance.
Yep.
So they're just like a third party, just like progeny is. And so it'll still go through your insurance company. So it'll go, no, they don't cover donor eggs.
They don't.
But they'll just go through, if you have Aetna or Blue Cross and Blue Shield, they will coordinate with your insurance company and basically take all of the added stuff out of them. Yeah.
They take all that stress from you. They're pretty well versed. Like I said, it was easy. Our fertility clinic sent over the service authorization. They receive it. When fertility receives it, they check our coverage. They go through Cigna, because we have Cigna. And then Cigna says yay or nay. They're like, yes, we're good. And in order for you to get it fully covered, you have to have a diagnosis of infertility. Because they just can't say, oh yeah, I'm trying to get pregnant and it's not working. Like, that's not enough for them. They have to see, like, your doctor have to say, this person has tried, this is what we've done. And they can see that all in your record. And pretty much, I was pretty much diagnosed with infertility, but it's unexplained, because I ovulate.
Right.
Fine. The sperm just doesn't reach to the eggs because of that stubborn cervix that I have. So that's part of why they covered. I mean, they covered everything. Medication, I think. The most we spent. Okay, so we met our deductible. Our deductible, because we're a family of 3 on our insurance, is 3,600. 35 or 30, I think it's 3,500. So of course, when we went in to do the hysteroscopy at the hospital, because of course it didn't work at the actual fertility clinic, they were like, well, in order for us to cover this, your out of pocket is your deductible, which was $3,500.
Right.
And then from there, your IVF is covered. We were like, what? Now, the trick about insurance, which I had no idea, was that once they bill your insurance and they put that claim on your insurance, it automatically says deductible met. I personally do not have to put any money towards that deductible, because it's a big surgery, and because they bill me. Like the I think we did Piedmont. They billed us because they submitted that claim, and the insurance says that claim has been processed. That money went towards our deductible. So they were like, deductible met. So once it says deductible met in there, they were like, all right, let's move forward. They send in the service authorization. They approve, and they approve it from, I think we had December through February.
Right.
I think that's how it was. And then it was March to June. So we had from, it's supposed to cover a whole cycle. So not just the egg retrieval, and then you got to submit something else for the transfer. It's all together. So we were able to do the egg retrieval, and because we had all those hiccups, we had to put in another one for the transfer. It was like a week, like a couple of days till transfer day, and they still didn't put anything in. And we're like, am I even going to be able to do this, because you guys haven't submitted the information to the insurance company? But when fertility, again, amazing. They advocate for you, and they basically pushed it back a month. So instead of starting it from April, which is when, I'm sorry, from February, which is when we initially went in for all of the stuff for baseline, they was like, let's just go ahead and do it from January instead of doing it the opposite way. And of course, it has to be, I think that's like, if I'm correct, like 4 or 5 months, um, which is pretty cool. So we did that. For meds, they cover meds through their partnered um, pharmacy, which I'm not too fond of them. Medication was like $200.
Yeah.
Needed like 70 vials.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this that says $5,000, guys. that says that right there says 5,000.
Yeah.
No. We were fortunate enough that when fertility also covers storage of eggs and sperm, which we did not know that we had sperm left over. I kept getting bills and I kept getting charged $100 every month. And I'm like, first of all, we get free embryo storage. Like, why are you guys charging me? They were like, oh no, we're charging you for sperm. Because at this point, I'm just looking at it like, okay, you guys keep charging me. This is an error. Y'all gonna fix it for next month.
Right.
And I eventually ended up calling them and I was like, hey, what's up? They were like, oh no, this is for sperm and eggs. I said, I said, no, we get free storage for a year. They were like, oh, well, we don't handle that here. You'll have to call your insurance. Of course. But you're the one taking my money out of my account, but you don't handle, okay, whatever. Whatever. So that was another thing in its own. So I think overall we spent maybe, I want to say $600-700 on meds. And that's for the retrieval and the transfer. The most expensive thing, like I said, was the progesterone and oil, and the Pregnil.
Yeah, right now.
It was like
109. Don't ask me how I know prices. It's like $100. It depends on what pharmacy you get. There's one in Texas called Sandar X you can get for $99. Don't ask me how I know that.
Listen, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta
Don't ask me.
compare and contrast. Like this is real. Like you out here bargaining. Like, hey, do we go to Goodwill or do we go to Value Village? Like, which one do we get our stuff? And that's literally what we did. We literally like sat down. I was contacting all these different pharmacies. It's just so okay. So a trick that I learned with the in oil. Someone told me once I draw it up in the syringe to put it under hot water and let the hot water run, and it liquefies it a little bit so that it's easy for you to inject, and then alternate the cheeks that you use, because we did it in the butt cheeks, and I was like, because the thigh, I was like, do I have enough meat?
I know I do.
do I have enough meat in my thigh for that? But
I'm trying to see. I don't think I have it over here.
Oh, and then my first experience with a needle, I used, so initially to draw the oil, it's, yep, I have that. I had to buy one. Yeah, I had to buy that. You said no, ain't nobody doing the thighs, girl.
I do the thighs.
How?
It's actually better to me than the cheeks. I like it better.
Okay.
And I have an auto injector. I thought I had it over here, but I don't see it. I have an auto injector. Oh yeah,
you're gonna have to send me the link for that, because I've been trying to find an auto injector.
This is my best friend.
I'm sure.
Where have you been? If you need oil though, Freedom, let me know, because I got.
Yeah, let me know too, because I got refills left over. So
Yes, the auto injector, if y'all don't have it, it is a lifesaver. Just because even like I found out, Mila's dad, like it was that dark. Like even him, like him just trying to do it like that, it just, he would miss.
yep.
But this just goes like straight in, and I have less knots with the auto injector. And I mean it's pretty simple, but like, I can't do I reaching back here was not
Yeah.
the way. Oh, well, but I can't reach back here and it was just awkward. So I would just do like a little scenario, like I have those patches, those numbing patches.
Yep.
Listen, I don't know why you gonna use it, girl. This we go together real bad.
Listen.
But I'm able to see it this way, click it in.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of people say the thigh hurts, but it doesn't have hurt for me. But I got thigh meat, so it works just fine for me.
I got thigh meat, so I might try it. I may go ahead and try it this next go around. Because honey, them lumps.
Yeah.
I was like, who? And it hurt. It hurt so bad. But that massager came in. It did a number. Like I would have my heating pad, the massager. I will do the hot water. I will try to numb it with ice before injecting. Like I'm okay with the needles. Like it doesn't bother me. It's the after. And then the lumps didn't start happening until after the transfer.
Yeah. I mean, after you're on it for so many weeks, like you will get knots, but my method was, and I also said I don't know if I have patches over here. I had some, but I have these they're numbing patches. They don't even make them anymore. But I put those on there, and I just leave that. I put it on like before I go to bed. I put it on, and then I use a heating pad to warm up my oil. Mm-hmm. And then, I use the injector and then I just let it, and it goes in pretty. The patches never work. You have to, I just found out I just would leave it on. So it would be like the night before I went to bed because I would do, depending on when it is, you do PIO usually early in the morning. So I would do like 5 o'clock. So before I went to bed, I had that patch on. And then once I woke up, that area was completely numb. And then I would just make sure the heating pad warmed up the oil really good. And then, because it's so thick and then it'll just go real fast. Yeah. And I felt like the faster I was able to get it, the less lumps I got. And then I would just use the massage gun just to get that oil, just get it out there to wherever it is. But that was my method that worked for me. But everybody has their own thing, because I know people don't like the thigh, but baby, me and the thigh go together. And I used to be afraid because everybody was like, don't do the thigh, your legs hurt. But I just could not do the rear anymore. That was
I don't think the rear will be my option. I was going to go with the thigh anyway, because I did, like, July of this year, I fell down my steps and fractured my tailbone. So yeah, no butt cheeks for me.
So for those of you joining, this is Kati. She's sharing her journey. She's still on a journey. She does not have a baby yet. I want to say yes. She is gearing up for a transfer. She doesn't have a date right now. I will say this, that the biggest pain point that I always have in the group is affording it. And I encourage you to do the grants. I just encourage you, don't put your eggs all in one. She's at CNY. But I would encourage you not to put all your eggs into these grants. It's basically like winning the lottery. At some point, if you can find an employer that offers fertility benefits, that's the best way to go. Check your state to see if there's a mandate for IVF. There's a few states that are out there that do cover IVF. So, check that as well. But for the most part, you can maybe, if you really want to do this and afford it, you're going to have to, you know, find a job, make a sacrifice. And it doesn't even have to be that bad. You know, most of the women in our group have been able to afford it using jobs
Yeah.
and those kind of things, as far as going to, you know, get this baby. So um, I am working on something personally. I just talked to my developer 2 days ago, but I'm working on an app that is called Every Shade of Affording Infertility, and that will have a list of what I could find, jobs that offer benefits from just IUIs to IVF to donor eggs. Um, you know, they're just all over the place. It's not really a central place, and so definitely I wanted to solve that pain point of at least giving the knowledge, we helping each other like we have been doing for the last since 2019, of building this community and helping each other afford this, and not, you know, children are already expensive. Let's not make creating them even more expensive, you know, when it comes to that. We are getting towards the end. I would say, what would you say to the woman who has been told, you know, all these obstacles, you being in the midst of your journey? What would you say to that woman to keep fighting?
Don't put a timeline on the what ifs. Don't put a timeline on the what ifs. Um, Reset. Definitely reset. Don't overextend yourself, because it gets hard. It's very difficult. And like I said, if this was me a couple of years ago, I would have not been able to talk about this without, you know, having snot come out my face. Um, it's definitely not easy, and every cycle is different than the other. You learn something new as you go. You learn the good and the bad. Um, so I would say, if this is something that you really, really want, just don't put a timeline on it. Just try, try your best, and um, take your breaks. Take your breaks. That's important. The taking your breaks is the most important part, because I cannot imagine if I was to do this back to back
It's
every month.
hard.
It's hard. It's hard. Just naturally was hard enough. Um, and 36 cycles is a lot. It's a lot. And just to think of it, I'm like, you know, because I'm trying to count with my fingers between 2018 and 2024 how many times we've attempted to just have a child, and it just hasn't worked. So imagine um, what it is. But don't put a time frame on it. Don't stress about it. Just try your best to recharge and change the perspective of how you want it to turn out, because it can't be a good turnout. We just gonna get there at some point.
Amen, amen, amen. And I think that's important to share because, you know, when we meet, you know, we've had women on here and, you know, they've gone, you just sort of forget a lot of things. You know, I, for the first time, am documenting my transfer journey. And I can honestly say, like, I literally blocked out so much from the other ones that I don't even remember. But the fact that I'm recording this time and I'm looking at my face and I'm looking at different things, I'm like, you know, this is real, this is raw, this is what's happening right now. And, you know, I'm just trying just to not lose myself right now, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for people to see, because you think that you're the only one who feels that way, when all honestly we all feel that way. Because when you want something so bad, you know, and you know, I know how you felt like in March, like, I feel like I'm pregnant. Am I pregnant? You know, it's going to be that fear. Am I really going to do this? Am I really going to bring this baby home? You know, and we can see the success stories, but these stories are just as important as the success stories, because they have to know, people have to know, that woman needs to know that
They're not
Kati
alone.
is still going. Ronnie is still going. you know, after transfer, 36 cycles, they're still going. And if they can still go, I can still go too. And I say with anything, you know, I have a prayer, you know, and I just say, if this is not for me, God, take it away.
Yeah.
Take it away. Take it away from my spirit. Take it away from my heart. Take it away so I can be okay. And so far, it has not been taken away. Now, I'm a firm believer in breaks. My last break was over a year ago, like a year and a half ago. And now, honestly, with this stuff that's happening to me right now, listen, we can take another break.
Where we going?
You know what? Let's continue with this break because I cannot, you know, but I know like there's things like I want to do. There's things that, you know, I just need to keep going and know like, all right, partially it's my fault because I didn't want to do things in my breakouts like this. And I'm like, I should have probably did this 2 months ago, but it is what it is. Things happen for the reason that they happen. So
I'm also a believer in people's energy fills you up. I only say that because for the longest time that we've tried, I had one friend who was so supportive and it was just amazing. And, you know, I was like, oh, I'm happy this friend that I've had, you know, my best friend I've had for so many years. And the same thing you said, if it's not for, I just started saying it because I started feeling weak and that's not me. And I'm like, if it's not for me, take it away. If it's not for me, I just kept saying that. If it's not for me, take it away. Lo and behold, I found out that because she said, I will give you my eggs any day, but you can't have my husband's sperm. She has five daughters, and she said that she would not be able to handle it if I was to get pregnant and have a boy by her husband. Okay, I can respect that. But then after that, it started getting awkward.
Right.
And it didn't feel like I had that supportive friend anymore. It was more like, why are you trying again? Why are you trying to get pregnant? You already fostering all these kids. You got all these babies. You raising other people's children. Like, why are you, like, it just became question after question after. And it was so emotionally draining. I was like, if it's not for me, take it away.
Right.
We're not friends anymore. And hey, maybe that's just how it was meant to be. During that time, we closed our home, we stopped fostering, then we started back again after the whole take it away situation. I lost several people. I literally lost two best friends in a matter of 3 months. One that I was okay with letting go, and one that broke me in half. And it was because COVID took her from me. It wasn't because we just decided not to be friends anymore. So imagine loss after loss. Like it's a lot, and it's been. I think that is another reason why I'm like I can't give up, because she's up there trying to send me down some babies. Come on, like she's the reason why we were able to retrieve 6 eggs. She's the reason why, and it's just like, it's been an amazing thing to feel like she's present. One of my favorite things is butterflies. And once she passed, I just see butterflies all the time. Like, we moved to our new home and we have a big yard and there's just butterflies everywhere, every day. So I'm like, okay, that's you telling me just keep going. It's going to happen. And anytime I pray about it or I talk to my ancestors, I'm like, I call her Mo. I'm like, Mo, send me them babies now. And hey, she sent me 6. And we're just waiting to make sure that they stick. So I'm hoping, they're still hoping, that
What's it say? What's it say?
that October is the month. Give me some Halloweeny, I'm good with that because I love Halloween. But just it don't give up. I know there's lots of women out there that are just trying, that just want this as much as the other. And looking at those success stories, it's like a stab right here. It's like a stab, all not just here, just the whole thing. Um, and I get it. I've seen, like, even I sometimes I feel like when my friends and associates, acquaintances, they're like, "Oh, I'm pregnant." Like, hey, I talked to you in 3 months. Why are you telling me you're pregnant? I don't care. Like, like, and I don't want to say things like that, but it's like, all right, now, like, we've been trying. It's been, this is what's been going on, and here you are telling me that you're pregnant. Um, Congratulations. Like, what what do you say? And that was another thing that I was battling with. Like, how can I be happy for my associates or my friends? And here I am battling with this one thing that I want to, that I can't. Or my other struggle is, because I am a foster parent, why are these women having these babies to abuse them?
Right.
And here I am raising somebody else's kid. I've been raising other people's kids for years, unintentionally, not even through the system. Just, hey, bring me your kid because unacceptable.
Right.
Oh, you can't do it? I got you. Oh, you've hit a hard rock. Bring those. Don't let them suffer. I'm here. So my house is always full of children. You've never known Kati to not have kids in her house. You've never known me to walk up and down the street and not have a child to my hip. But at some point, like my daughter says, I just want a baby that gets to stay. That's it. That's all.
Well, you are in our thoughts and prayers. We pray that this year is your year to say, I did it. We're bringing this baby home. You deserve this. You deserve this more. Every woman deserves, in some type of way, to get the desires of their heart. And I truly believe that God will grant you the desires of your heart. Now, is it always how you supposedly thought it's gonna look? No. But He will grant the desires of your heart. I truly believe that your daughters, there's going to be a child that gets to stay. There will be a child that gets to stay and be a part of it, and with so much love. Thank you, Ms. Red. With so much love and so much understanding, there has to be a happy ending. There has to be a happy somewhere. Now look, I don't know when, but it has to be a happy ending somewhere.
And remember, we're not putting a timeline on it. I'm 34.
Right.
By 32, I'm not doing it no more. And then here we are, 34, and I'm still going. So at this point, I'm not putting a timeline on it. I'm like, yeah, once I turn 35, that's it for me. And then I was like, maybe that's what's blocking it. Maybe that's what's stopping what's going on. Let me just vibe. Let me just go with it, go with the flow. If you could imagine, and I always tell people, you will never understand the magnitude of hurt someone feels raising someone else's child. That's literally what every year, every day I wake up choosing to say yes to these babies.
Interesting enough, I have a bonus daughter, and me and her had a conversation, like she was having like a little thing, and I said the same to her. I was like, every day I make a choice to be here, to be present, to do these things for you that I don't have to do. Don't give me a hard time.